If you're planning to conquer some of the toughest bosses in Slay the Spire 2, you can't just rely on luck. You've got to really understand the character you're playing. The game gives you 5 very different heroes to choose from, and while some are pretty straightforward, others demand a bit more finesse. Today, we're talking about one of the trickier ones to get the hang of early on, the Regent. This is not your typical play cards, gain energy, win fight kind of character. The Regent brings a whole new layer to the table, and if you're not prepared, things can spiral out of control fast. What makes the Regent so interesting and challenging is the need to manage not just your energy, but an entirely new resource called stars. You'll constantly be balancing when to generate stars, when to spend them, and how to sync that with your card plays for maximum impact. It's a bit of a juggling act at first, but once it clicks, it feels incredibly powerful. So in this beginner's guide, I'm going to break down how the Regent works, what you should focus on in your early runs, and how to start raining down some serious cosmic destruction on your enemies. Let's get into it. I'm quickly moving on to the video. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. When you first pick up the Regent in Slay the Spire 2, it can feel a little overwhelming. He is not just managing energy like the other characters, he is also juggling stars, and that extra layer changes everything. The key thing to understand early is that the Regent really shines when you commit to one of his main deck archetypes instead of trying to do a bit of everything. Once you decide on a direction, the character starts to feel much smoother and a lot more powerful. The first and most obvious path is the star-focused build. This one revolves around spending stars alongside your energy to unleash some incredibly strong spells. Unlike energy, stars do not refresh at the start of every turn. You only begin combat with 3, so you need to think ahead. A strong star deck is all about balance. You want powerful payoff the cards that spend stars, but you also need ways to generate more. Cards like Venerate, Crescent Spear, Hidden Cache, Genesis, and Neutron Aegis help you maintain that flow. If you spend too aggressively without generating more, you will stall out. But if you manage your resources well, you can completely overwhelm bosses with explosive turns. The second major playstyle is built around the Forge mechanic. Every time you forge, you create a colorless spell called Sovereign Blade. This attack has Retain, which means it stays in your hand and it grows stronger the more you forge. Over time, that single card can scale into something absurd, capable of dealing massive bursts of damage in one swing. The catch is that you can normally only have one Sovereign Blade in your deck at a time, unless you copy it with something like Heirloom Hammer. So this build is about patience and scaling. You survive, you forge, and then you unleash one devastating hit that can delete an enemy outright. Finally, there is the colorless focused approach. The Regent has several tools that reward you for leaning into colorless spells. Cards like Spectrum Shift, Manifest Authority, and Bundle of Joy can fill your hand with random colorless options, many of which are extremely powerful. The fun part is the flexibility. The risky part is the randomness. You are relying on drawing the right tools for the situation, which means this style can feel a bit like gambling. When it works, it feels amazing and creative. When it does not, it can feel chaotic. But that is part of the Regent's charm. He rewards smart planning, commitment to a strategy, and just a little bit of bold decision making. If you have the option early on, starting with a star-focused build is one of the best ways to really understand how the Regent is meant to be played in Slay the Spire 2. You cannot fully control what cards you are offered, of course, but if the game leans in that direction, it is worth committing. The star archetype forces you to pay attention to your resources in a way that teaches you the character's rhythm. You are constantly thinking about how many stars you have, how many you need, and whether this is the right turn to spend them or save them. This style is all about tempo. You are not just playing cards, you are setting up future turns. Sometimes you defend and build stars. Other times you recognize that everything lines up and it is time for a huge explosive turn. That balance between patience and aggression is the heart of the Regent. A lot of your success comes from recognizing when to hold back and when to commit fully. Once you get comfortable with that flow, the character starts to feel incredibly satisfying, especially when you chain together multiple powerful spells in a single turn. To make the build work smoothly, look for strong star generators like Venerate, Glow, Gather Light, Shining Strike, and a Genesis to keep your resource engine running. On the payoff side, Crescent Spear becomes almost absurd the more star cards you stack into your deck, and its low cost makes it perfect for massive burst damage turns. If you need help finishing fights, Stardust, Decisions, and 7 stars can give you that final push to close out bosses before they overwhelm you. Tyranny is one of those cards that does not look impressive at first glance, but once you understand how the Regent works, it becomes incredible. It gives you an extra card every turn, which is already strong, but the trade-off is that you have to give one of your spells Exhaust. At first, that sounds painful. Why would you want to permanently remove your own cards during combat? But with the Regent, Exhaust is not just a downside, it is a powerful tool for refining your deck mid-fight. The reality is that your deck will not always be perfect. Sometimes you pick up cards that seemed good at the time but do not quite fit your final strategy. Other times you are forced to take awkward spells just to survive early encounters. Tyranny lets you clean that up during battle. By exhausting weaker or situational cards, you increase the odds of drawing the spells that actually push your main game plan forward. It is especially strong against enemies that flood your hand with negative status cards, because you can remove those from circulation and keep your draws focused and efficient. Guards serves a similar purpose in a slightly different way. It allows you to temporarily convert useless cards into free block, turning dead weight into immediate value. Instead of staring at a handful of junk, you transform it into defense and stay alive while you set up your win condition. Both Tyranny and Guards help you control the flow of your deck, and with the Regent, that kind of control often makes the difference between a clunky run and a dominant one. The Forge mechanic is honestly one of the most explosive ways to play the Regent if you start building around it early. Instead of juggling stars and planning out resource cycles, this archetype is all about scaling toward one ridiculous finishing blow. You are not trying to win through steady chip damage, you are preparing for that one turn where everything comes together and your Sovereign Blade drops for an absurd amount of damage. It can spiral very quickly, and it is not unusual to see hits in the 70 to 100 plus range once your scaling is online. The entire engine revolves around strengthening Sovereign Blade as efficiently as possible. Cards like Furnace, Beat into Shape, Bulwark, and Seeking Edge all help you forge repeatedly, pushing that blade's damage higher and higher. Even though you are limited to a single Sovereign Blade in your deck, you have tools to make that consistency feel much better. Summon Forth can pull it directly into your hand when you are ready to swing. Wrought in War is a fantastic upgrade over basic strike cards, keeping your deck lean and focused. And Refined Blade sets up extra energy for the following turn, so you can actually afford to unleash your fully powered attack. That said, this strategy does have a clear weakness. Enemies that cap how much damage they can take per turn are a direct counter to your big burst plan. If a foe can only take a fixed amount of damage each round, your massive blade swing loses a lot of its impact. Always pay attention to the effect icons under an enemy's health bar before committing to your all-in turn. Sometimes the smartest move is to delay your strike, build a little more, or adjust your plan entirely. With Forge, timing is everything. If you see Big Bang, you take Big Bang. It is that simple. In my opinion, it is one of the strongest cards in the Regent's entire pool because it does everything you could possibly want for 0 energy. It draws you a card, gives you 1 star, grants 1 energy, and even forges 5 times. That level of utility is absurd. It supports star builds by fueling your resource engine. It accelerates. Forge builds by supercharging Sovereign Blade, and it even fits comfortably into colorless focused decks because of how flexible it is. It does not deal damage or provide block directly, but it makes every other part of your turn better, and that kind of efficiency is what wins runs. Potion choices matter a lot more on the Regent than you might expect, especially because so many of his builds revolve around setting up one explosive turn. In the common slot, Colorless Potion, Energy Potion, and Swift Potion are all very solid. Colorless Potion is particularly strong if you are leaning into either the Colorless or Forge archetype, since those builds often benefit from flexible, high-impact spells. Extra energy or quick card draw can also be the difference between a mediocre turn and a game-winning one when you are trying to line everything up perfectly. For uncommon potions, Blessing of the Forge, Stable Serum, and Radiant Tincture all fit beautifully with the Regent's game plan. You are usually building toward a big moment, so anything that upgrades key cards, stabilizes your draw, or enhances your burst potential is incredibly valuable. Among the rare options, most are strong, but Droplet of Precognition stands out in Forge builds because it helps you pull Sovereign Blade exactly when you need it. Gigantification. Potion is also absurd in star-focused decks, turning cards like 7 stars into completely devastating finishes. The video ends here. See you in another video. don't forget to subscribe.